Okay, this is our video. Let's review it before we start this work. In this video, I am going to remove that glowing Q sign in the background. Okay, now we need a single frame as a separate export image so we can use it to remove that sign in Adobe Photoshop. So for that, make sure this timeline is selected and go to Composition. Save frame as and click File. And then in the render queue, click here to go to render settings and change the quality and resolution to best and full and click OK. And then go to output module settings to define the format and codec of this export, and from this list select JPEG sequence. Make sure to select highest color depth and click OK. Then click here to set the output location and click the render button. Then come back to the timeline and go to the effects control panel. Right click here and go to Boris Effects Mocha and select Mocha AE. Then click this button to open the Mocha AE interface to drag the area of this sign so we can attach our clean plate above this sign. Okay, let's zoom in here. Then create a rectangular shape here and set the minimum pixel used to 90%, which will allow it to track 90% of the pixels of this shot. And now turn off this gear icon from here and then use the X-spline pen tool to create a new shape around this head so we can use that shape to exclude this area from tracking, so tracking is not disturbed by the motion of the head when the head moves above the tracking shape. Now select all of the points and drag this handle to make the outline smoother and set the minimum pixel used to 90%, which will allow it to track 90% of the pixel of this shot. Then click this track backward button to track this shape around her head in previous frames. And when the previous frames are tracked, then drag the remaining frames. While tracking, you need to wait a little until the tracking process is complete. And the speed of the tracking depends on your computer specifications. Okay, after the tracking, let's see if there are issues in our shape and fix them. Just make sure this outline is not touching the head, face or hair. To check these kinds of issues, you need to jump at various random frames and fix these points on those frames if required. Make sure the outline is not too far away from the head. On this frame and this frame. And when you are done checking, let's move to the first frame and turn off the gear icon of this layer and select layer 1 and bring the pointer here and turn the gear icon of this layer, which means this layer will track the shot when the track button is clicked. Okay, turn the surface planar shape on and resize the shape to fit with this sign. Now adjust the width of the shape, and please do not forget to like, subscribe and share my video. Okay, when the surface planar shape is tightly aligned with our sign, then press the track backward button to track the previous frames of this video. When the previous frames are done, then drag the remaining forward frames. Okay, tracking is done. Let's check if our planar surface shape is sticked with the sign throughout the whole video. Now bring the time slider to this frame and click this expand surface planner button and then close the Mocha AE and save the file. Now let's move to Adobe Photoshop, click open and bring the screenshot of the video in. Then zoom into this logo and take this lasso tool and add the 5% feather in here. Then carefully draw a shape around the sign. And go to edit menu and click fill and press OK button and let the Photoshop do its magic. Boom! The sign is gone. Okay, now zoom out of the sign and take this healing brush tool so we can fix these little color issues. Change the size of the brush and click here. Okay, we are getting this error. Let's take the other tool. Select the spot healing brush tool, adjust the size of the brush and start painting here. Keep doing it until all the issues are fixed. Okay, it's looking much better now. Let's take the clone stamp tool and check the brush settings from here and then change the opacity of the brush from here. And take the sample from here and start painting on the problematic areas to make it more seamless. Reduce the opacity even more. Keep doing it until it's a complete seamless removal. Okay, nice. Now take the select and move tool. Save the file and close it. And in After Effects, go to the project panel and to import this clean plate, double click here and select this image and click the import button. Now drag and drop this clean plate image here in the timeline above the video layer and save the project file. Turn the visibility of this image and select the pen tool and zoom into this sign and make sure you are making this mask on the clean plate image layer and create a mask around this sign with a reasonable gap from the sign. Now select the move tool and adjust these points. Take this curve tool to convert this corner point to a smooth curve. Okay. Take the move tool again and adjust these points. Now turn the visibility of this layer on and by clicking here, turn the visibility of the mask outline as well to check how the removal looks like. It looks great, but we still should add some feathers around the edges so it still looks seamless when the video plays. Solo this layer by clicking here so we can examine the edges of our mask and set the feather value to 50 and then turn solo off. And now expand the mask properties and reduce the expression value to almost 5 and then collapse these layers to hide all of these properties. Save the project again. Now select this layer and press Ctrl+Shift+Home from your keyboard to bring the anchor point to the center of the mask and then zoom out the display to fit in. And then right click this layer and click Pre-Compose so the edges of this layer expands to the edges of the screen because we expanded the edges of the surface planner in the Mocha AE. So to get the accurate tracking result, we need to make the edges of our layer and surface planner expand along the screen edges. Match these settings with my settings and click OK. Now select this video layer and go to Effects Control panel and select this effect and expand the tracking data properties and open the Mocha AE to make sure everything is fine. And the surface planner is already expanded to the edges. And then close the Mocha AE. Now click this create track data button and make sure layer number 1 is selected and layer number 2 is off, and then click OK. Now all the tracking data will be ready to apply to our image layer. So select corner pin sport motion blur from the export options menu, and then select layer 1 from the layer export to menu, and then click the apply export button to apply the tracking data on our clean plate image layer and wait for it to apply. Okay, it's applied. And now click here to turn on the motion blur of this layer. Now come to the first frame of this video. We can see this mask clean plate is overlapping some area of the head of the girl, which means we need to rotoscope her head and bring her head in front of our clean plate image mask. And to do that, duplicate this video layer and drag and drop this layer above all layers. Now hide this layer so we can check which duration of video requires the rotoscoping. Rename this layer to Roto to make things easier. Now move the time slider to the frame where we want our rotoscoping to be end, and delete the remaining layer that do not require any rotoscoping. Now bring the time slider to the first frame and turn the visibility of this layer on. Then select this layer and go to the effects control panel and click this button to open the Mocha AE interface. Now delete these layers and zoom in toward her head and pan to bring the head in front of us. And now using the X spline tool, create an outline around her head, and this shape should be purely tight along the edges of the head because we need to mask out or crop out her head. And when it's done, smooth the edges of the shape by dragging in the handles. Then change the minimum pixel value to 90% and click the track forward button and wait. When the tracking is done, then zoom into her head and adjust the outline. Now close the Mocha AE and save the file. Now expand this matte and click the Create After Effects Masks button to apply our roto mask on our top roto layer. Now add some feather to the edges of our roto shape and turn on motion blur as well and collapse this layer. Now let's play the video to see how this sign removal looks now. As we can see, we have removed this sign seamlessly and realistically. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do not forget to like, subscribe and share my video. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.